our souls at stake. Let's give it our best. Let's take them back to the Bible.
Hello, my name's Rob Whitaker, and this is Austin Fowler. And we started the American Mission Campaigns in the summer of 2021 in Rome, Georgia. And wow, what an explosion of growth. Things have happened in the American Mission Campaigns that we thought we would only see in foreign countries. In fact, when Austin drove over to Jacksonville, Alabama, and proposed the idea of an American Mission Campaign, my first thought was, can we duplicate here what we see in other countries? Well, Austin and I have a pretty good background in foreign missions. He's directed foreign mission campaigns. I've directed foreign mission campaigns. And if you've been a part of a foreign mission work, you know the kind of enthusiasm, the motivation, the joy that you receive in participating in these campaigns. I've often thought, can we do it here? Well, the American culture is different. There's materialism. There's so many issues and a lot of questions. Can we duplicate it here? Well, Austin wanted to try. And so we took an idea and we started the American Mission Campaigns under House to House, Heart to Heart School of Evangelism, kind of being the practicum of what we do. We teach the principles. We go around the country all year long. We normally train about 45 congregations, the principles of evangelism, but we can't practice it. There's just not enough time. So the American Mission Campaign is not only the principles, but the practice, Austin, of that. And, we've seen some incredible things the last few years. And some of you perhaps have been, but we want to talk in this video about what can you expect if you come, and what have we seen, and what can American Mission Campaigns do for you personally, and what can it do for the kingdom here in the United States of America? So Austin, tell us a little bit about your background, your history, what you've seen in the American Mission Campaign.
Yeah, it's good to be here today and talk about these great events that's, I think, not only changed churches' lives, but changed mine and yours as well, to reinvent door knocking, like we'll talk about here in a minute. It's been just a blessing to be a part of. And I really look back and, I started doing foreign mission work in 2014. I went on several different campaigns, and you always come back enthused, energetic. And every time you leave AMC, we always are dead tired, but it's like, man, that wasn't that. I mean, there's things that you think, man, door knocking doesn't work in the United States anymore. It just, it's something that they did in the 60s and 70s that worked, but nobody doesn't want you knocking on their door anymore. And then, every day we sit there, getting contact cards, collecting the numbers, looking at the data, and people are like, I got to tell you about this contact. And you're just like, tell me about it. And it's like, we knocked on their door and they just opened up to us. I mean, they're hurting, they need help, and
right.
And we fall through. I was at Equipped up in Kentucky this past weekend, setting up a booth for House to House, and one of the deacons from Covington was there where we went 2 years ago, so in 2022, and he was telling me about one of their new converts and how much he's progressed, how much they still had to help him even after he became a Christian, but just he said it's just awesome to see the growth, the progression, and they're still. The cool thing is looking back to those churches like Covington and Carnes and the churches we've helped the last year, and they're just continuing to grow. Every week you send out on Wednesdays your reports, and I always look for those AMC churches because I want to see, okay, are they still on fire? Are they still doing what they need to do? And it's just so encouraging to see them implementing the principles.
When we were in Rome, I remember just you and I talking about, is this going to work? And of course, we're talking about evangelism principles, and we're doing the training. So we're going to do the same type of training we would do if you enrolled in our school, the local church. In fact, you're going to get advanced training. So we're going to give you a lot of classroom hours, but we're going to follow that up with a practicum where you go out and you do it. And so when we were preparing for Rome, Georgia, I thought to myself, the Oak Hill congregation, how are we going to do door knocking? Is it going to be the traditional door knocking where we go up, and say, hey, would you like to come to our gospel meeting? We pass out the flyer, or we ask a couple of questions about eternity, or do you know that few will be saved, and would you like to know more about it? Trying to get into a Bible study. I've been a part of that in campaigns in our country. In fact, I've led those campaigns. I'll just be honest. The results are disappointing. I mean, you get very few contacts out of that. Now, if you go to Jamaica, Honduras, Costa Rica, you get great results. I mean, we can pile up the Bible studies. That method here, it just doesn't work. So we had to re-examine or reinvent door knocking. What will work in our culture? How can we reach out to people in our neighborhoods? And I know we've had our skeptics, we have our doubters, but I can tell you, as you said earlier, Austin, we're data driven. Yeah. So we keep the data. We know how many homes,
every single day,
every day. Now, how many doors have we knocked? How many people came to the door? How many do we talk to? And of those people we talk to, how many of those end up being a contact? And that's the key. See, success in door knocking is not about, did you have a Bible study? It's not about, did you baptize them? Right. Did they come to church? That's a field far too long for us to navigate. We're not qualified for that. They're not ready for that. They don't even know who you are at that point.
I mean, I remember it was in Rome that first year. We went door knocking. I think it was Praying for You Day. And I always tell this story about door knocking just because it shows the power of door knocking, because people are like, people don't want, I mean, this guy, we're wearing our blue shirts. Remember, we wore, everybody went door knocking wearing the blue shirts that year. And we've changed that. And the guy was like, are you the vaccine people? He's outside smoking a cigarette, and so I went up and I complimented his yard. I talked about how he had a beautiful garden, and I said, hey, we're not the vaccine people. We're with the church. We're just out seeing how we can pray for people today. And he just began to cry. I mean, let's get this rough, tough guy that's accusing us to be the vaccine people, or saying, hey, I could use some prayers right now. I'm hurt. My wife's got dementia and I'm just struggling taking care of her. And then, we leave those contacts for the church to follow up with. And I mean, it's so cool seeing reports, and reaching the lost of, this person was baptized, or this person, we got a Bible study with this person. You're like, I remember that story. And it's just so encouraging. It's cool too. People will contact us or come to our campaigns. They're like, hey, we're doing a door knocking and we're going to teach the same strategies y'all do. I was talking to Jeff Phillips at Covington. I think they've been a great model church. I mean, they're just awesome. And he's going to Hawaii to do a stateside campaign. His son's down there in the military, so that he's helping one of the churches on the island. And so he called me. He's like, hey, we want to mail house to house to around the church building, so we can have something in our hand when we go door knocking and tell them, hey, we're the one that sent you that. And, so he's using the door knocking method with house to house, and so it's just, and he's like, we're going to use the other methods too, but I want to make sure we got that out there. Right. So we got them signed up this week, and we're excited to hear the results of that campaign. So that's the cool thing about AMC too, is people are saying, hey, I can reproduce this in my own local church. Yeah. And
what we teach is reproducible. It doesn't require a preaching school background. It doesn't require a Greek study. It just requires you to be human. And so let's go back to door knocking real quickly and talk about our approach. And AMC is so vast, I think, or broad in our evangelism training. It's not just door knocking, but obviously that's part of it, because we need contacts. And so that's the end game. When you knock a door, what do you want? Okay. We want to make a contact. We just want to open a door, get a name and address, and an opportunity to go back. And so in order to accomplish that, we have 4, sometimes 5 strategies that we use. And we've developed those since Rome. We've developed those one at a time. We kind of broke the glass ceiling. Door knocking doesn't work. We've shown it does. And we're going to talk about some of the stats here in just a minute, but and you'll be surprised if you're not aware of the American mission campaigns. I want you to think about, if you could, success. What would you define as success? So if you're going door to door, and I said, okay, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, how will you define success? So I want you to keep that number in mind, because we're going to talk about the numbers, because we are data driven. If what we're doing is not working, let's just quit. Let's not waste resources. Let's not waste time. We just don't want to occupy someone's, summer with a week vacation. This is far from it. This is literally a mission campaign in our country. And so, let's just back up and start. You mentioned prayer, right? So we go to the door. That's a simple one. It's easy. I
think that's the easiest one of all of them. I mean, it just shows you care. You're not there to give them anything. You're just there to say, hey, we're seeing how we can pray for you today.
Yep. People like to pray, and they have someone they want you to pray for, to pray about. And but we even back up before the prayer. Like, what do you say when you walk up to the door? What are you looking for? So we teach our team members, you need to look for pets. You need to look for symbols and
American
insignias,
flags,
American flag,
any kind of veteran symbol, on their car tag, or
it's the first thing you go to.
Sports, if they got sports stuff, you're going, like I said, that guy had a beautiful garden. I'm going to talk about his garden. What is he planting?
It's a conversation piece.
It just breaks the ice when you're there, and you're not just there to make a sales pitch and leave.
That's right.
You're investing. We always tell people, if you go to that first house and you spend an hour there, that's success. Success. Because you've invested in people's lives. That hey, it's not just hey. I remember. We many times would say, hey, you got to knock 100 doors today. And we'd come back, oh, you knocked 100 doors, great. And many people say that's successful, you knocked 100 doors. But I think when it comes to door knocking, it's more about quality than quantity. We understand, you got to have a lot of contacts to work with, but if you can invest in somebody's life that week.
It's not just a number.
It's
not say, okay, I knocked 100 doors, or hey, we knocked 1,000 doors today, and by the end of the week we had 10,000, and boy, there's been a great campaign. That is not what evangelism looks like in America. And if that's if you're coming to our campaign thinking where it's a numbers game about how many houses can we reach, that's not American Mission Campaign. We're really looking to invest in people. And so whether it be prayer or finding people in the community that are hurting that we can send cards to, it's one of our strategies, using compassion cards. In fact, sitting with us during this interview, we have Hannah Whitaker. And Hannah, of course, designs compassion cards. And we're going to be talking a little bit about those. And to my left is Nicole, my wife, and we all work together kind of as a team. Right. And we asked them to join us because compassion cards are really a great tool to use in knocking doors, asking someone, do you know someone who's lost a loved one who is struggling, and a card could cheer them up? Well, you ought to see, you ought to hear the response. Oh yeah, well, I've got a mother or a father or a friend down the road.
Or personally.
Yeah, I could use some encouragement. And then we send them not one card with 50 signatures. We send them 50 cards, and we send them throughout a 2-3 week period, all talking about cultivating the soil. And Hannah, how many cards right now do we have, or you've designed? How many different cards?
128.
128 different cards. Tell us about the categories of the cards that we use.
I have 12 different categories: new movers, new converts, get well, praying for you, sympathy, thanking of you, special invitation, and visitors.
Yeah, so those categories, you can't go to Walmart to get those. So they're designed to be evangelistic in nature.
And we talk about our evangelism model. Where does it start? You start with contacts. Yeah. And so we go door knocking to find contacts. Well, then you gotta prospect them, and that's where the cards come into place.
Right.
That's right. And they just run that room. We have the list. Basically when you walk in from door knocking and if it's your group's turn, you just walk in, there's your list.
That's right.
And you write your cards. We the first year, that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare.
Yes. We had stacks of cards everywhere. And,
we couldn't even get them all done.
Yes. There's so many cards.
It's funny looking back and being like, oh, that was such a great idea. Look, when we were going into it, and then you're like, that was a nightmare.
Yes.
And then now we've got it manageable. Yep. Sometimes it's still a nightmare, but it's manageable where, people can do the most work. Right. And the important thing too is that we have those lists for everybody to write, but then we also say, okay, this person got 20 cards, that day or whatever. Right. They're usually about groups of 20. Was that what you'd say?
Yeah.
Hannah? About 20 people. And so, every person writes one card, so they get 20 cards, and then we can leave that for the church.
Yeah, and they carry it on when we leave, and
then we give them, that's a starting point when we leave the campaign is, hey, these people already received cards. You might want to go visit them and transition them next. So, it's like I said, going back to that model.
Well, the model is the key to evangelism. It's, contacts first, and that's what door knocking does. Door knocking is not going to convert them. It just makes a contact, So there are people in your community that are unchurched. That you don't know them. Your members don't know them. They're not going to go to your website. The only way you meet them is to go to them. They're called the cold contacts. And listen, we admit they're the hardest contacts to get to. But if you don't do this, you're not going to get to them. And the way we've developed it, it works. And you think back to Rome, they've had as many baptisms in Rome, Georgia, at the Oak Hill. And, actually, there were two churches that came together, Callahan Street. If you take the baptisms of Callahan Street and Oak Hill in Rome, we're probably close to 50 baptisms, and that's in this country. So we didn't have to get on an airplane and fly somewhere. And I'm all for foreign missions. But here's the point: we can do it here, and there's a job for everyone. We talk about the cards, and sometimes our ladies wonder what can they do, where do they fit in, and I know, Nicole, you spend a lot of time trying to, get the ladies involved in the various aspects of the campaign. Talk a little bit about some of the things that our ladies can do. They're coming, they're very important. In fact, they're vital for the success of this. Just tell us a little bit about kind of the expectations some of our ladies can have as they come and work with us.
Well, there's many jobs that the ladies can do, and one, of course, is the cards. We do need help in that. And also with door knocking, it is more effective if we have ladies to help our gentlemen go to the door. It kind of breaks the ice.
It does. When you have two men that come to the door and, one of them looks like me, they're going to look out there and say, I'm not sure if I'm going to open the door. But when they see you, Nicole, they always open the door. So it's the ladies kind of help, take the edge off, and we either a young person, but we don't want to send two men to the door. Sometimes we struggle to have enough ladies, and the ladies are so important because, again, the end game is making a contact. And when I always step back, when you and I knock together, I step back and I let them see you. I always say, Nicole, you stand in the middle, I'll step back. And because I know if they see you, it's just less threatening. They're more likely to open the door, and that way we can have that conversation. And so I know the card writing and I know there's some other things that ladies do, and talk a little bit more about what their expectations would be.
Well, we teach you how to do the new movers baskets. Right. We need help in that. Yeah. We teach you how to assemble them and then to go to the door and what to say and not to say.
That's important. There's certain things you don't want to say when you go to the door of a new mover. You don't want to have a list in your hand and saying, hey, we understand you're a new mover and you're on our list. And the first thing they're going to say is like, where'd you get that list? Why are you at my door? They think you're a con artist. So we do a lot of training. And you mentioned the new mover baskets. You teach the ladies about the need never to go to the door without a gift. We always have something in our hands. And y'all go shopping, y'all get all the supplies, y'all put the baskets together, and then we deliver them. I mean, this is one of our strategies in door knocking, that we use.
Yes.
And Nicole, what else do you think as you think about the ladies and things that they, of course, they're going to go through the training. They're going to learn how to be a silent partner. And you've been my silent partner for over, 25 years. We've worked together in Bible studies, and, you play a very important role. And we talk about what is that role. And then sometimes ladies do studies with other ladies, and that's important to know how to use a tool like Back to the Bible. But we have a new role for ladies coming up this summer, and that's going to be at the Hampton congregation. Tell us about that.
Well, this will be the first one we've tried. Okay. We're actually going to do a vacation Bible school.
Yes.
And we're excited to do that and see how that goes. Mm-hmm. We've never done this in America. We do it in 4 mission fields, but we've never done it here. And we're excited to see how this works.
Yeah, we are, because in foreign mission fields, you do a vacation Bible school, the children come, right? And the
Yes.
parents come. And sometimes when we do VBSs here in the States, they're not very evangelistic. And what we want to do is make an evangelistic vacation Bible school. So you're going to need help from ladies. You're going to need teachers, helpers, and we're going to need, all sorts of assistants and in various capacities. Ladies obviously work better with children. So, Austin, as we talk about, this summer, talk about the campaigns that we're going to do this summer and the opportunities that our audience has to participate.
So first one will be in June the 22nd through the 29th in Collinsville, Illinois. I'll be working with the Collinsville Troy congregation there, just outside St. Louis, so in kind of that region of the U.S. And then we'll also be going in July to the Hampton, Virginia area, the Peninsula Church of Christ on July the 20th through the 27th. And the great thing about AMC is you don't have to spend a lot of money on an airplane ticket, unless you have to for certain reasons. But if you can get there and get there, everything else is pretty much taken care of.
Let's
for
use
one
the
meal
word.
a day.
It's free.
It's free.
I mean, we're not asking for, you go on a foreign mission trip, you're going to pony up $1,500, $2,000 at least dollars. We're talking about, we're not asking for any funds. We're going to give you so much information, tools. You're coming, just your presence is
Right.
what we need. We need workers.
We do.
Yeah.
And that Jesus, said, pray for workers, and that's we need workers.
The laborers are few.
The laborers are few, and we need more laborers. We need workers. But the good thing is, it's just not a week. I remember so many times going on those campaigns, and they were great campaigns. But you'd leave, and you'd be on fire. But then you're like, well, this really don't work here.
Right.
But here, when you leave AMC, you're like, okay, I got something I can take back to my home church and duplicate. And
we've seen that happen.
I remember. I've been through the school seminar before, but after Rome, it really helped me personally. And I went back to where I was going at the time, and we just really took off. Did really well with it. We had 24 baptisms that year, and we're at Eastridge now, and we're implementing the model. We got Bible study this week. We got several others that are prospecting right now. So we're following the model, and it all kind of stems back to AMC and what we learned there.
Well, who can come to the American Mission Campaign? The answer is, any Christian. Any Christian can come. So we have young Christians coming. Hannah, there are a lot of of the participants around your age, and they're coming. And in fact, it's great to have a variety of ages.
I was going to say it's great for youth groups.
It's great for youth groups. They're a lot of our young people are they go to Bible camp. Okay, they go to summer series. They go to youth series. There's so many different activities they're doing. If we want to keep our young people faithful, let's teach them how to be evangelists.
Yeah.
Let's show them how to save souls. Hannah, I know that you've been part of evangelism or door knocking since I remember. Mom and Dad, we were literally pushing you and Jared up and down the streets, in strollers, and y'all were evangelizing and didn't even know it. And now here, look at full circle.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to help other young people in groups learn how to be soul winners. And I know that when we went to Carnes, let me go back to Carnes real quick. One of the members or elders said something to me. They said, "Now, Rob, this is an upper middle class area. This is going to be really tough. Don't be surprised if it doesn't work well here." Well, we did it for a couple of days, and then they came back to me and they said, "Oh, Rob, can you guys stop?" And I said, "Well, why? We have way too many contacts. We cannot reach this many people."
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're in rural areas, upper middle class, suburban, urban. It doesn't matter where you're at in the country. We were in Texas.
Even Cary, North Carolina was very, very,
very affluent.
Yeah,
it was very affluent area, and they've had multiple baptisms, and they've taken this, and again, all these every one of the congregations that've been a part of AMC have succeeded, and they have grown, and they have seen souls saved.
Yep.
So we want to invite our audience to consider being a part of a campaign in your own country. It goes without saying, we're losing America. We're never going to save our country through politics. It's not going to be because of an election. you've got to put some skin in the game. We need your help. We need everyone to go to, amc.housetohouse.com and register, and it's free, and be a part of something great. This is much bigger than you are.
Going back to the free part is, if you don't want to pay for a hotel,
that's right.
We have gracious members of the church that at both congregations that'll be willing to host you during the week, and they will take care of you so you don't have to worry about getting a hotel. You can also, we'll feed you lunch each day. Dinner will be on your own. So really that's your only expense. And so, we'll train you, we'll send you home energized and ready to evangelize, and take good care of you while you're there too.
And let's go back to those numbers, to Nicole and Hannah. When we started this, we've been involved in mission work. We've been to Jamaica many times. Hannah, Jamaica, New Zealand, we've been to different places. And our big question, and my dad, I remember us in Rome, Georgia, he was asking, what is it going to look like at the end of the week? Because if this doesn't work, we'll never do another one. And there's certain naysayers, they're kind of just, there's waiting for failure. So they can say, I told you it won't work in America. So what did we see? When the numbers came in, we were at not 20%, we weren't at 25%. We were hitting 30% success. Now that's, If I were to tell you right now that if you'll come to an AMC, you're going to have a 30% success rate at the door, why would not you participate? I mean, what would cause you not to be a part of this? So you don't have to worry about the failures of the past, because we're approaching door knocking very differently, and we're going to give you a complete model to take back to your home congregation. It's been very successful.
And you were talking about if it was going to take off there in Rome. I mean, like, it was what, Tuesday, or I guess, because we only did it till like Thursday that week, like till lunch. We didn't even do a full week campaign because we were just kind of experimenting, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But it was Jeff Phillips and Wayne Dalrymple that came up and was like, "Hey, y'all want to come to Covington next year?" And that's where we went, And so it was cool to do that. And talking about the experimenting, we kind of experimented that first year in Rome, and then the next year we're like, well, let's try a week-long campaign. So we experimented with that, and then we're like, hey, let's add cards. And then we added new movers, and now we're adding the Vacation Bible School. So I think that's the cool thing about AMC too, is we're really not stagnant, so to speak. We're experimenting.
Learning.
We're experimenting. We're saying, hey, this didn't work. This did work. Hey, this is something we may want to try in the future. And so we are, and we're going to learn and share it with others so that they can be successful too.
100% agree with everything you just said. That we're learning how to evangelize in America today. Our culture is changing very rapidly, and we have got to adapt. Not the gospel. We're not changing the gospel. We're preaching the same, one true church. We're using evangelism tools that are 30, 40 years old.
Right.
Those have not changed, but it's our approach to people. It's how we make contacts. And, from younger people to older people, we have people come to AMC in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
We had one this week. 80 years old. She's good, and she's been there since Rome. She's been every year since Rome, and I saw that registration come in. I was like, "Let's go!" Another year.
That's right. So we have inside activities, outside activities. It's really exciting. It's one of those events, Hannah. For our family that we don't want to miss. In fact, this year we're doing 2 of them, and we've never done 2 before, so it's going to take some resources and a lot of time to put into this. And Nicole, I know that as far as watching Jared and Hannah grow up, and now being a part of this mission work together, just talk very briefly about the value this has for a family. That if you really want your family to be faithful and to grow up and your children to be faithful, I mean, I can't think of a better way.
It is. It's a great way for your children to learn how to be Christians and how to keep this going. We've lost it, and we need to get back to doing the things that we used to be good at. And this is an opportunity, really of a lifetime, for you to train your children how to be involved in the church.
Baseball camp, football camp, band camp. How about an evangelism camp, right? Yeah. Hannah, would you give it up for anything in the world?
It's just life-changing. I remember the first time I went to Jamaica, and, my eyes were just opened. And, on our first trip in Rome, I remember telling Poppy that, if you blindfolded me, it felt like I was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience, and to be a part of is a blessing.
Austin, same thing, you know.
Well, I was going to say, many times we talk about, well, is it going to be fun? Everything today has to be fun.
Everything has to be fun, right?
And we have fun. I promise you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard work. You're tired at the end of the day. I think Hannah is. I'm going to give her this quote. I don't know if she originally said it or not, but it's not a mission trip unless you start out the trip tired.
Yes.
And
yes.
Usually we're already tired on day one,
right.
and then we struggle through the rest of the week. And I usually drink a lot of Monsters during the week. I've cut that out, Nicole. I promise. But you just keep going because you're running on adrenaline. You wake up every morning, you have morning devo, and it gets your morning started right. You train, you go door knock, you get a little bit of a rest, right. And then we come back and learn more or do the vacation Bible school. And it's fun. I mean,
it is. I wouldn't give it up for
no.
It is. It's very rewarding. If you want to help your children go to heaven, if you want to become closer to God, you need to do mission work. Evangelism is the answer. It cures almost every problem we have. Go to amc.housetohouse.com, register, do it as soon as you can because there is a cutoff for this. And I think it'd be life-changing for you. And contact us, Austin at housetohouse.com. Austin takes care of a lot of the logistics. Of course, I'm at rob at housetohouse.com. So I'm taking care of some of the teaching, the School of Evangelism principles. And together we're co-directing this. We want you to be a part of it.
And we can't wait to see you. Remember, the dates are June the 22nd through the 29th in Illinois. And then July the 20th through the 27th in Virginia. And we can't wait to see you. And if you got any questions, please reach out. If there's any obstacle in the way, please let us know. And bring a group. Hey, I preach this sermon.
Right. Bring the group.
I always say this: what's better than going to heaven? Everyone's like, well, nothing. Well, bring somebody with you. What's the best thing about AMC? What's better than going to AMC? Bringing somebody with you.
That's right.
And reaching out.
Bring
to
your
the
youth
lost.
group. We have congregations that bring their entire youth group.
Yeah.
I mean,
we had a group come from Arkansas all the way to North Carolina. I mean, travel.
That's right.
And then we had several in Texas. So it's all ages. It's a great event. So we look forward to seeing
People travel days to come to AMC.
Yeah,
so
they do.
And we look forward to seeing you. Reach out to us with questions, and we're looking forward to seeing you at AMC.
We just plant and water, then watch God see the increase start. There are souls at stake. Let's give it our best. Let's take them back to the Bible.